You are in the spotlight. Be enlightened. Be informed. Click on the subscribe button and the notification bell if you're new around here, and you'll be kept up to date with the latest news and videos that are in the spotlight. The Wuhan COVID-19 virus pandemic is more or less driving people nuts. There's a palpable fear in the air that is driven by the constant news reports of infections and death from the disease, information overload, unverified statistics, ignorance, and the lack of faith and/or belief in a higher power, among other things. I decided to address this matter after I woke up from a dream in which I met a childhood friend and schoolmate who I saw in my dream looking all forlorn and in deep concentration as I flew overhead during a skydiving base jump in the Blue Mountains of Jamaica. Yes, you heard me right. I was flying like a bird. I know you all have questions about this weird dream of me flying, but that's one of the privileges and the benefits of dreams. You get to do crazy things and live to talk about them. Incidentally, and yes, we are still in the dream, the decision to go for a base jump in the mountains was prompted after witnessing a massive gathering of women at some kind of recognition and awards ceremony. The meeting was characterized and dominated by an air of doom and gloom about the whole pandemic situation. So I guess I figured out what was going on and decided to go for a flight to ponder over things and clear the depressive thoughts. So there I was, flying away like Superman. And as I was hurtling through the air and zipping by the wonderful sceneries and drawing admiring looks from those who were opportune enough to spot me as I whizzed by, I somehow noticed an old schoolmate who I knew from our days in primary school. She was standing by herself near her house and seemed to be in deep thought and looking quite distressed. I decided to stop and have a reunion of sorts. Now, at this point, I can't recall me deploying my parachute to make the stop, so maybe my wingsuit was of top-notch quality that gifted me the capability to land with pinpoint accuracy without the need for the chute. But hey, I will not question my dreamt-up superpowers. Now, in talking with my friend Marjorie, I found out that she too was suffering from great panic about this pandemic. This was driven mostly by information overload, uncertainty about the future, scare stories, mistrust of the intentions and motives of some of the key players, and not knowing who or what to believe anymore. And it was further compounded by the fact that her beloved husband was not very well and susceptible to becoming one of its victims. We started to chat, and somehow I woke up and I quickly decided to journal this encounter. Now, as far as I'm concerned, this dream could just as well be a case in reality, except for the part about me flying willy-nilly around the place. I've grudgingly conceded that any attempt at defying gravity in a bird-like manner is inherently beset by the assured promise of reuniting with the ground, probably at a velocity that is not compatible with life. I have no yearnings for such an outcome. Now, back to reality. As is the case in my dream, the whole world is being panicked into a corner, just like how lions would panic a herd of wildebeest in order to pick off a meal or two. Now, if any of you have ever watched any of those nature videos, you would probably surmise rather quickly that the wildebeest is not the brightest of the animals that roam the Serengeti. But their great numbers, along with their daft behavior, seem to give away clues as to why they occupy the lower end of the food chain. And so, it is not entirely accidental that I choose to use this animal and its seemingly at times ridiculous and lemming-like behavior as an analogy for the present-day human condition and behaviors. From casual observations, it would appear that humans are now under a sustained assault by an enemy, real or imagined, that has sought to try and pick us off in alarming numbers that is very difficult to comprehend by simple minds. There are a lot of simple minds out there with access to very powerful information technology, a similitude of which I could only describe as giving a child access to the space agency's NASA mission control in order for it to enjoy the thrill of playing with a new toy rocket. They can't handle it and would eventually do a childlike thing and press that shiny little self-destruct button. There's a plethora of conspiracy theories about the unwholesome connections and linkages between businessmen like Bill Gates, evil US and Chinese scientists, corrupt or clueless government politicians, and compliant mainstream media. It is safe to say that these do not help those who lack the analytical skills to sift the bullshit from the facts. And so, when a forwarded message is received from a trusted source like an old schoolmate or a close friend, our cognitive bias tends to kick in, and some of us quickly align with or discard that which best fit a pre-existing belief or agenda. This is called the confirmation bias. The confirmation bias is based on finding that people tend to listen more often to information that confirms the beliefs they already have. Through this bias, people tend to favor information that confirms their previously held beliefs. This bias can be particularly evident when it comes to issues like gun control and global warming, and this present-day Wuhan virus COVID-19 pandemic. Instead of listening to the opposing side and considering all of the facts in a logical and rational manner, people tend simply to look for things that reinforce what they already think are true. I guess it also doesn't help much when those among our peers have set themselves up as arbiters of who is an idiot for believing what is believed and who is to be lauded for towing a certain line of belief. I've seen a few on social media who, either by their tone or by direct statements, have made it patently clear or insinuated that if you disagree with their views, especially about this pandemic, you are left in no doubt that they view you as an idiot, a goofball, a buffoon, a half-wit, and other such debasing epithets. Most people cannot handle this kind of social pressure, as the human need for social inclusiveness and interactions, as promulgated by social scientists like Leon Festinger, James Carl Smith, Max Weber, and Karl Marx, just to name a few, makes them terrified of being ostracized by their peers and by those whom they admire. So it is not unusual to see on the social media posts of some respective thought leaders comments and thoughts that lead off with subtle suggestions that if you disagree with my post, then you are an idiot at best. Therefore, with all these kinds of unwanted pressures on the individual today to conform and run with the herd, it is unsurprising that the great majority are easily panicked, and this is what we're witnessing today. But my message of hope to you all is this: stop the blasted panicking. It is often illogical and unhelpful to you in every way. Experiences of panic attacks may include rapid heart rate, loss of breath, shaking, sweating, chest pain, or feeling detached from the world or one's own body. Often, individuals who experience this intense sensation fear that they're going crazy or that they're dying. Now, if you question most of those around you today, you would find that most of them would relate to what is being said here, as far as this COVID-19 pandemic is concerned. With great relief, I am able to state that I am a survivor of the Wuhan COVID virus. I can also boldly state that this thing is survivable and it is not an automatic death sentence. In my humble opinion and experience, the effects of the virus are like those of a bad case of the flu, and I treated it as such, both mentally and physiologically. We all know that having the flu, which a lot of people do contract every year, is a mixed bag of effects for the victims. The vast majority of people usually get over it with minimum or no medical intervention. Perhaps we should start to view this COVID nuisance in the same way. There are merits to a lot of the home remedies you see flying around on social media, and I've used my fair share, which I believe have helped to secure my quick recovery with the help of Allah the Almighty. However, to be on the safe side, please seek professional medical advice before proceeding with any form of self-medication or home remedies. In closing, I implore you to stop worrying yourselves sick about this pandemic. Here's a little publicized fact. Far more people have survived and have recovered from the virus than those that were killed by it. Just like the great outbreak of the Spanish flu earlier in the 20th century and other similar attacks on our health, in the inimitable words of the advisors to King Solomon, and this too shall pass away. Our Creator has informed us that after hardship comes ease. So let us bear this temporary hardship with a measure of calm. Those of you from the faith community should continue to keep the faith and renew your faith and trust in the supreme power. Don't panic. Stay healthy. Be safe.